Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is exciting.
This is our first remote broadcast for Relax Radio. So
It
welcome.
is. It is. Welcome, welcome. It's weird not being in the studio, but here we are. We're in
Yeah,
2021. COVID is still with us.
it is. Not
But
much seems to have changed since 2020, but there you go.
yeah, well, here we are. How are you doing, Kate? How
I'm good. So I'm Kate. You've tuned into the Uni Show this morning.
yeah,
I'm doing good, thank you.
good.
I'm locked down in London currently, so trying to complete. I'm a third year student going into like my dissertation and applying for masters and everything. So it's been like very up in the air and everything. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, like I'm coping well given everything going on. How about you, Rach?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. Christmas was yeah, it was quite last minute stress, wasn't it, with Boris
Yeah,
announcing a week before Christmas that London was going into tier 4. But I was very lucky to have managed to escape from London and be in Wales, which is where I am now at
yeah,
parents' house. But it is scary. It is scary. Things
yeah.
are not looking good at the moment. They're not looking positive.
No, well, I think the last time I saw you was actually the Saturday before the lockdown came in. It was also the Saturday
Yeah.
before Christmas. So we went to Westfield,
Oh my
and
God. Yeah, it
it
was.
was
Wasn't it?
absolute pandemonium. I remember that because we were like being like moved on. We were trying to get food and stuff like in the shopping
Yeah.
centre in Stratford, and we kept being moved on by like police officers and like
Mhm.
various COVID marshals. It was really weird. It was quite apocalyptic.
Yeah, I was quite uneasy that day. I'm sure you probably remember, but it was,
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
was a
think we
bit,
were like on the verge of going back to Wales. So Rachel's from Wales originally, and so she's gone back to like lockdown with her family. And you were waiting to have a COVID test and were panicking, like
yeah,
understandably.
yeah. Well, I think going to Westfield the Saturday before Christmas is brave in any case, in any world,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
combining.
I think it was a slight like overpart on my side to think that was a good idea.
No, 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 of course not. Of course not. We did some good shopping
We did.
in the 2 hours that we were there. Um,
Mm,
in and out straight away, no
yeah,
dithering. But yeah, combine that with COVID, and it was just quite overwhelming with having
yeah,
people there, wasn't it?
yeah. So what's the situation like in Wales now, Rach? What's going on there?
The numbers are still coming down. It's not like London or the
No.
South, which
I
seems to
mean,
be
London is currently looking like a petri dish. Let's not
yeah,
lie. It's not
yeah.
great.
I think I read somewhere that 1 in 100 people have COVID in Wales, and 1 in 30 in London have COVID now,
Oh.
which is obviously very, very frightening and
Mm-mm.
very serious. So it is absolutely right that we are doing these broadcasts from home and that we're not going into the
Yeah.
studio. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those like professions where if you can do it from home, it's the
mm,
wonder of technology, About 40 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible. Thank you, StreamYard.
yeah, exactly. Shout out to StreamYard. But it is interesting, Kate, isn't it? You do kind of think because because everyone has got so used to working from home, regardless of their profession, whether they're working in London, whether they're working at I don't know, law firms or in property
Mm,
companies. So I work for a property company, and
yeah,
everyone is now working from home.
yeah.
And with the technology that we have, be it Zoom, Google Meet, or
Mm-hmm.
StreamYard, love StreamYard.
Stream. Yeah.
And because people have got so used to having this technology and doing everything from home, in spite of the technical difficulties, which is obviously inevitable. But it does make you wonder: is there ever going to be a time where people actually go back to work properly? Um,
Yeah, no, it's interesting you say that. Like we had an email from our uni tutor the other day actually, just to say that they're thinking of making the course like semi-online anyway, like given that COVID has happened, like there have been so many advantages from it,
yeah.
in terms of, being able to show back videos and stuff, having more students actually logging into the seminars. I think a lot more students have been because we still have been marked on participation, but obviously it is a lot of a less commitment to kind of like log in from potentially the comfort of your own bed, whereas you might have to like travel into uni, which a lot of students don't want to do for a 9 a.m. So I think, you know, there definitely are some advantages of online remote teaching, working and everything. For me personally though, I really thrive in an environment where I have, I guess, accountability. If I'm not working, you know, there are like my peers around me to kind of look at me weirdly, and just kind of to like separate work and home. I can find that quite difficult to do. So the idea of broadcasting from my bedroom, and then also now then going on to do uni work, and then having a call with my friend, it's really, really mixed and confusing. But yeah, no, that, as you say, there definitely are advantages.
I think that's absolutely right. The working and the home time is definitely becoming a bit conflated, and especially if you're living in London, for example, and you're in a house share, maybe like I am, and you're used to having home be a place where you can just relax at the end of a work day and just watch TV. To then having to be a workplace is definitely quite an adjustment. But I I completely agree with you. I think on the one hand, people are saving money because they're not having to commute, they're not having to travel, they're not having to
morning Costa run, Starbucks run.
Exactly. Coffee sales have gone up like mad, coffee machines and coffee pods, because obviously everyone's working from home and they need coffee because coffee is life. But yeah, you do kind of wonder, even though it's easy to, as you say, being at uni, you can just log in from your laptop from your bed. But at the same time, the whole reason that you're at uni is to go and to learn and to be in a learning environment. And when you're in bed, even though it's comfy, you're not necessarily getting the same mental stimulation that you get when you're at university, when you're physically at university, and when you have interaction with your lecturer, whether it's just for chatting to them for 5 minutes before the lecture starts. That is a very, very good way of potentially saying, oh, you know that thing we did in the previous lecture, I didn't quite understand that. What did you mean by this kind of thing? Maybe I was definitely like that, because I was, as you know, a bit of a geek, and I know that not every student does that. But
you were a committed student. No, but I think what I miss most is just kind of like meeting people in my seminars one-to-one. Like that's the way that you make friends at uni, and you socialize. And then maybe after the seminar, like I know a couple of times last year, like this time last year, which feels really bizarre, a couple of the girls were like, should we get a coffee in like the uni coffee shop ground now? And so that was really nice. Like there's not really the same thing when you log on for like an hour Teams lecture or seminar, and then everyone just kind of like trails off at the end. You don't have that same kind of like backwards and forwards. It's really different.
And it's also, it can feel a bit more stilted when you're all having to communicate through text and everything, because as you say, when you're at uni and you're in the same lecture as someone, it's so easy to just say to them at the end, oh, I'm just heading over here, do you want to grab a coffee? But you can't really do that. I mean, I know it sounds like such a small thing. Oh, you're just getting coffee with someone, but actually, it really, really, it's just such as you say, it's such a great way to be social. It's a great way to meet people, and you don't have that when you're online and logging in into your lectures from your bedroom. And even if you do then communicate with someone, it's through text rather than through personal and physical interaction. So I think there's definitely an element of loneliness in online learning, and as we're seeing at the moment, and I think as we'll see for the foreseeable with more universities going online, the number of mental health issues amongst students, and obviously amongst everyone else who's suffering at the moment, is going to skyrocket, undoubtedly.
Absolutely. And I just think there isn't kind of a substitute in terms of disruption. Like I'm lucky in that I live in like a fairly quiet household, but I know that I have got friends that have either, you know, elderly like relatives who have caring responsibilities, younger siblings who might be also learning from home with the parents, and that's really, really disruptive in the morning. So QM, where Rachel and I went to University Queen Mary in Mile End, they are actually leaving the library open during this lockdown, which is really, really good. You need to book yourself into it, and it is a bit of a drag because, like, to request books, like, normally you could just, like, you know, browse the shelves as you do in the library. Nowadays, because of the books being quarantined for like 48 hours, etc., you've got to like request online, and then they order them in for you. So it is slightly more, yeah, you have to kind of think ahead, and you have to know what books you're after, kind of thing, which is a bit annoying. So I like inevitably order about 10 because I don't really know if I want it or not, and have like a huge bag of books with me. But you know, it's a small price we can pay. I mean, I don't feel like I have much to complain about, given that, you know, the situation in London is so dire, and I am lucky to be having access to all these facilities and everything that's still open.
But again, looking at the positives, in some ways it places you in better stead for getting your resources, because you're having to do research even before you're in the library. So as you say, before you would just pop in and browse, look and look for a book on a particular subject, but now, because of what you just said, you have to research what book it is that you want, and then you have to think, okay, what book do I want, you know, and you have to think, okay, which book do I want, and what do I want it for, which class is it for, and in some ways that is better. But we're definitely feeling for students at the moment. If you're in your first year, second year, final year, it really, really is not an easy time at the moment.
No, well, there are so many petitions going around at the moment, actually. I know that UAL has been asking for like a full reimbursement of tuition fees. QM, we're trying to get back our no detriment policy currently. So that would mean that our 30 US credits of the year don't count towards our final degree, which would be like a massive kind of like a weight off my shoulders, knowing that I have some kind of safety net this year. Given the unprecedented nature of the circumstances. I think York has been actually the first Russell Group uni to implement this policy. So we're hopeful that, you know, that just sets off like kind of a chain reaction, and the other universities will start to implement this too, because right now students have no safety net. It is really, really difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult. And also for those graduating as well, the employment prospects at the moment are just so bleak. But having said that, we do not want this to be a Debbie Downer show, as it often can be when we're talking about news. But Kate, you have some very, very exciting news talking about graduating.
Well, I had my online.
Kate.
I had my online interview for my master's this week, which was a lot of stress. They gave me 48 hours notice to study broadcast journalism at City University of London, where I recall Rach will be going next year for the same course. And I got a place, which is great. I'm really, really grateful for that. I think you had it a lot worse than me, Rach, when you had your interview, having to probably go in person, etc.
But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry, we just had a question. What university? What am I studying? I'm a history student at Queen Mary in East London. Rach is a graduate now.
Yes, but it's funny though, because you're actually not to give our age away, but you're actually older than me. And I'm obviously younger than you, but I've graduated before you, which always seems...
It's really confusing. So I'm 24 and I'm in my third year, having taken like several like long leaves out of university. And I was actually speaking to my friend in Germany at the beginning of the week. So she's going on 25, so slightly older than me. And she's got 2 more years of university to go.
Yeah. Well, I think once you actually get to university, age does just become irrelevant, especially... I remember meeting a very good friend of mine in our first year, and I didn't do a gap year or anything. I went straight to uni, and my birthday's in August, so I'm a young one, as I'm so often told. And I remember this girl that I met. She was 2 years older than me, technically, because she had done she'd actually done 2 gap years. And I remember thinking, oh, and we've been friends for a few months, and she said, oh yeah, no, I'm 20.
Mm,
I remember thinking, oh my gosh, 20, that's so
yeah,
old. And then I
yeah.
turned 20, and then I was like, yeah, this really just doesn't matter.
Mm.
It just it
Yeah, age is just a number. Like I've been saying to like all my friends and stuff who are kind of like semi-debating, oh no, I'm 25, do I go to uni now? I'm like, you know what? Like it's a piece of paper at the end of the day. If you
yeah,
feel like it's gonna help you or you really want to do it, then do it. Like
yeah,
education is so precious, and although it comes at a hefty loan price currently, it
yeah,
is something that we shouldn't take for granted, especially in the West. It is an
yeah.
incredible opportunity.
And also, as I said, some people finish school and then they go on a gap year, although
Mm,
I don't really know how possible that is at the moment, because obviously typically the typical gap year is you go traveling for a year, you find yourself in Thailand or whatever it is, but obviously I don't know how possible that is. But people are at different stages in life. Some people have more life experience because as I said, they might have done a gap year, they might have worked abroad, they might have done this. So it's a very, very enriching environment to be in, because you're surrounded by people of different ages,
mm.
as we said. And that's very, very, yeah, it's just so interesting meeting different people, hearing different people's stories, and just being surrounded by different people is what university, for me, it was one of the best things about university, just meeting different people and learning where they've been, and just hearing what they've done, which
Mm.
is why things are so hard at the moment, because there's such a lack of interaction and socializing at university, which some would say is one of the best things about being at university, is meeting
Yeah,
people.
no, I
So
completely agree. So, Rach, you think you would have, I know you're not a student now, but you are working from home. What would your working from home kind of tips be, kind of
yeah,
making a separate kind of environment from working, studying, whatever you're doing now? I think it's so important.
absolutely. That is exactly what we are going to talk about right after we take a quick break. Stay with us.
সব কাজটা ছেড়ে রিল্যাক্স রেডিও শুনি আও সব মিলে কাজটা ছেড়ে রিল্যাক্স রেডিও শুনি রিল্যাক্স রেডিওতে প্রতিদিন শোনা যায় বাংলার প্রতিধ্বনি রিল্যাক্স রেডিও শুনি রিল্যাক্স রেডিও শুনি It has been too long. No one has taken the initiative to know who you are and what you do. Well, Relax proudly presents Relax Media to unite and expose all media-related personalities under one umbrella. If you are an artist, or maybe you're looking for one, look no further. Log on to www.relaxmedia.com, RELAKS media.com. In return, you get a free webpage and exposure to wider fan appreciation and contacts. Also, optional personal manager. Don't delay. Join today for free. Relax Media, a community of artists.
ওরা দুজন তো ঢুকতে পারবে না আমাকে ছাড়া। এটা এটা বুঝতে পারছি না আমি, কি হলো এখানে এটা।